Hi all, my name is Leo Komisarov. I am founder of the UAE Restaurant Community, and we have in community a lot of people, and one request had come from the group that we need to know more about people who are inside the community, and we decided to make several interviews with different restaurants, with members of our community, to bring their stories of their lives to you. And this will be the first experimental video. Please share your feedback after you will watch it, because it's quite important to continue or not to continue. So our first guest will be Nicky Ramchandani from Streetery, from Zen Streetery Food in the JLT. So today we will have a Zoom call with him. All this video will be done in like Zoom mode, just to bring the atmosphere of current situation. So we will talk right now with Nicky and try to catch from him some information about his history and about all that we can do together right now. Yeah, okay, so Nicky, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Once again, the purpose of this meeting is to present yourself to community, because people would like to know whom they're talking with in chat. And we decided to make several interviews with members of the community.
We are presenting the UAE Restaurant Community. How it all started. The community founder Leo Komisarov decided to bring all the UAE restaurant owners together during this difficult time caused by the negative impact of coronavirus, to identify problems of restaurateurs, identify assets, locate resources, and analyze local power structures. Knowledge of the above helps to be closer to each other to speed up the sharing of ideas, life hacks, and effective actions. The UAE restaurant community should work together to be heard by the government and survive during the crisis. It all started on April 1st. We created a chat room and simply wrote about it on Instagram. For 4 days, 240 people entered the community. We had a lot of heated discussions, after which decisions were made. We have formed an initiative group. We decided to make the community closed and validate each member, as we don't want to discuss important issues with unknown people. After this, 120 restaurant owners remained in the community. On April 12th, we had our first community meeting. We still have a presentation and the recording. If you want to get it, just ask. As a result, we formed teams on various issues that began to work on tasks. So basically, what we do. Every Sunday, we convene general large circle community meetings to discuss the latest news and to report on what has been done. Over the course of a week, we work in groups on specific tasks that move us toward community goals. To get the government involved in restaurant problems and make them help. To gather offers of different suppliers and ads in a group which can help restaurateurs. To exchange ideas and life hacks to survive. To reduce the aggregators' commissions. To receive a discount from landlords. And remember, if we stick together, we will overcome this. We have a chat on WhatsApp for easy conversations. We have a Slack community where communication is divided into topics. Here we post document templates, news, and so on. Also, once a week we gather a common Zoom conference. Few words about our Slack. On this communication platform we have a lot of channels. You can join any of them or mute or leave if the topic is not interesting for you. What gives you entry into the community? You can discuss any issue with other restaurant owners and solve any of your problems. The moral support. It is not easy now for everyone. Get your international experience and discounts on specific conditions from suppliers. Of course, we have our goals and rules, as well as our vision. Restaurant owners are currently divided and communicate very little with each other. We believe that one day tens of thousands of restaurateurs from around the world will be united in a community in order to develop themselves, their restaurants, and the industry as a whole. So you want to enter? It is easy. You will find the link to this presentation down below. Open it and you will find the link to register. We will contact you and add to our community. UAE Restaurant Community. Let's become one.
And you know, like right now there are a lot of webinars where very cool guys speaking about very clever things. But I usually prefer to speak to more concrete guys who is on the ground, who is not to have two large companies and who can explain right now what to do and what exactly they do. Because usually top top market players, they maybe can't even remember how to start from scratch, how to do some things manually, and so on. So I believe that sometimes such kind of interviews are even more useful. Thank you very much, by the way, for your last speech on the conference. It was quite cool. Yeah, so let's start first with short story about yourself. So how the idea to run restaurants came to your mind?
All right. So we've always been in the hotel and restaurant industry since the last, I think, 40 years. My family, we have hotels in Thailand, we have hotels in Pune in India, and when I started operations, I was 16 years old, but I did not start working in a hotel or restaurant. I started working in the export division of my dad's company.
Okay.
So basically, my family is spread out throughout Africa and throughout the Far East. So we have the Far East and the Indian subcontinent that's exporting to the African part of the family, you know. So it's an in-house business, a family business that we have all the way ranging from Dubai to I think Banjul in West Africa, you know. So in between, they're the client side of it, and then we have the family side of it, which is the suppliers. So when I started that initially, I was 16 years old. This was in 1996. That's when I moved to Africa after my training in Hong Kong and China. And I was in Uganda at the beginning of it. I continued being in Uganda till 2005. So I was there for pretty much 9 to 10 years, throughout which time I was doing very well for the business until there was a war, and I pretty much lost everything. And the reason for me to move to Dubai was the fact that I had to actually, I did not want to put my family in a position where, you know, they didn't know if I was safe or secure or not, because during the war in Africa, my family had become a mess. So that was my reason to move to Dubai. When I moved to Dubai, I started up. I actually helped. I was doing doing the same business as what I'm currently doing right now, as what I was doing in Africa, which is exports, and you know, we were sorting cargo within. I had an office free zone, and I would assemble cargo, and I would ship out containers, 30, 40, 50 containers a month to Africa. In 2005, I helped a friend set up a restaurant in Dubai, and I fell in love with the restaurant industry again. You know, I mean, just the restaurant industry is either for you or it's not for you. I agree.
You know, agree.
There is no in between that say, oh, you know, maybe I should consider this. No, you either love it or you don't. You know, if you love it, you're usually the kind of person who can, you know, get down and dirty and put your hand through the traps when there's a drainage block, or, you know, you have to learn to do everything that there is when it comes to operating outlets and operating restaurants, you know. Starting off in a position where you think, oh no, you know, this will be a sensible business decision, as opposed to, no, I want to get into this because I love this industry. I do very different, you know. So I kind of got into it. I believe, in my opinion, that was the right reason, because I just love food. If you ask me, my family has a very big background of food, and I, as much of an experience I have as eating, I haven't formally trained as a chef, but I can still develop products, and that's something I've become very good at over the years, and that is where my specialty lies, I believe, you know. So this is where it comes down to what exactly it is that you want to do with this. So when I started up the restaurant industry, I started up with a very small. At that time, when you say in 2005, it was not really a dark kitchen, but it was sort of like a dark kitchen where I was just doing deliveries. I had 2 staff working for me. I was on the telephone. I had 2 delivery boys, and there was me. And I was handling the restaurant, and I was handling everything. So, I mean, for me, it was starting, you know, I told my dad, you know, I've decided to do this thing on my own, so don't mind, but I'm actually going to step out of the family business. Yeah, so, you know, it's from coming from a background where you have everything to having to work for yourself and work for everything and make things happen, you know? So it was a very challenging but fun experience, in my opinion. There is nothing that I would take back from what I have experienced, you know, because that's gotten me down and dirty and trained me throughout the industry to get to where I am at this point of time. So this was 15 years ago is when I set up Zen, which is the first it was Thai, Chinese, and Malaysian food, but it was street-style Thai, Chinese, and Malaysian food. So at that time, fast food was a thing, and fine dining was a thing. There was nothing much in between. Everybody who was opening restaurants at that time was aspiring to do fine dining. So when I opened up my first proper outlet, where there was seating capacity on Sheikh Zayed Road next to the Shangri-La Hotel, the option that, people were like, are you crazy? Why are you opening up a street style restaurant? Nobody wants to eat street food. Everybody wants to eat fine dining food. You know? But having come from the Far East and spending a lot of time in the Far East myself, where my roots are from back there, it made most sense because that's the kind of experience I wanted to recreate, is a street dining experience. Just
it's like something like fast casual, how it's named sometimes.
No, I wouldn't name it fast casual as well. Casual is still a step up from what it should be.
Okay.
Have you ever been to Thailand or?
Yeah.
You have, right? So, I mean, when you go to Thailand as a tourist, very rarely will you go to restaurants and eat. Majority of the time you eat in the streets. It's the same thing in India as well. It's the same thing in China and Vietnam and Hong Kong and in China and Malaysia, Singapore, where street food is a very normal thing. It's a routine. It's a day-to-day part of everyone's life. Offices, they won't go down to restaurants and eat. They will go down to the streets and go to their favorite street vendor and eat that kind of food. It's the experience as a whole, the sights and the sounds and the noises. So it's not even fast casual. It's more specialized in a particular form of cooking. So for example, if you go to Thailand, you'll go to a place that is cooking pad Thai, and they will cook just pad Thai and nothing else. You go to a place that's serving papaya salad, and they'll be serving papaya salad and nothing else. Next to them, they probably have somebody who's serving, a barbecue chicken with sticky rice or something in that format, which complements what this person is serving.
Your format is some branch with several stations of this dedicated, or how it works?
This is where I'm coming down to. So I started up Zen in Dubai in 2005, which is the first street-style Southeast Asian restaurant in Dubai. Yeah, in this part of the world, it wasn't even just Dubai. At that time, this was the first street style. So our focus was on street food. It was more on like regular local food as opposed to stuff that you normally get everywhere else. It wasn't just your traditional Thai curry. It wasn't just your traditional. It wasn't just your traditional pad Thai. It was a lot more over and above that. It was about the actual experience of a Thai food experience. So I started off with that in 2005. Now, this is where it kind of got a little tough because it was a struggle for me as well. I was coming out from just having no experience to getting to where we are at this point of time. So my first outlet, I ran it for 2 years before the landlord said, we're demolishing the building. We want you to get out. And at that time, I had no other option because I just had to leave. So I started up, and it was 3 years, I think I was there. By 2008, we had become one of the most popular Southeast Asian restaurants in Dubai. People from far and wide were coming down to us, and we had from Abu Dhabi, from Alain, from Sharjah, coming down to eat in a restaurant to get a proper Thai experience. Then from there, 2008 is when the crash happened. So when I left the place, that was when the markets were at its lowest point. But my main objective was to make sure that I was still in and around the Sheikh Zayed Road area. So I had confirmed a place within Business Bay, which had just started developing at that time. And they had told me that they would be able to get me the place by 2009. Now, what happened is in 2009, they were not able to give me the location, which it moved 2 years. So it got me down to a situation, what do I do for 2 years? So that's when I set up a place in Zabil Park at gate number 6, and I took up this huge food court. And I kind of ran it as just my outlet. And it was one of the most beautiful restaurants, and, unfortunately, what people don't consider in Dubai is that during summertime, when you have high street locations that get affected, nobody calculates the loss of income on that.
Yeah.
And that's something I was a little bit arrogant about myself. And, because I had so much success with my first location, I thought I could beat the odds. We all think we're special, and we all think that we can do better than everyone else. But this is where I kind of had my ASS handed to me, So I had to close out in Zabil Park in 2011, and I had pretty much lost close to 2 million dirhams in losses, and that's when from a 14,000 square foot restaurant, I moved to a 750 square foot restaurant within Sheikh Zayed Road, which is getting back to the focus of what we were. I ran Zen in Business Day from 2011 to 2019. This was Again, a very small restaurant, 10-seater format. Again, we had, towards the end of it, we had issues with the landlord, and we had to leave the place because there were multiple aspects. They wanted to move the lobby to where my restaurant was, and there were court cases and multiple things that went on, and eventually we just said, forget it. And us, and we had our neighbors with Chinchin, we both had to leave the place, and we had to just walk away, So we did that, and that's when I opened up, just before I closed on over there, I opened up Streetery in JLT. Now looking in JLT, I came across several locations that I was scouting, and there are very few locations which I really, really like. So when I saw this particular location where we currently are right now, I completely envisioned something that I used to visit in Thailand as a kid. In our neighborhood, we used to have these food halls. They're not really called food halls. Food halls is more the modern word of a hawker center. It's actually called hawker center in the Far East. So hawker centers is where you'll have 5-6 outlets that will open up within a small space, and everybody will run their own specialty of food, and they will serve it to the people in the neighborhood. So food halls is a very up and coming format all around the world, and it's got one of the highest growth rates. And as a format that just seemed to fit. So then we created Streetery Food Hall by Zen. So it was Zen that created Streetery Food Hall, which was 3 outlets that we had Zen within it. We had Farans, and we had Hinky. So we're serving a range of Thai, Chinese, and Malaysian food, but focused on complete street food. Okay. Yeah. So street food is the focus of what we've always been when it comes to Asian food. And that's something I believe we will always continue doing because, there is something that hits people when it comes to comfort food. For example, a shawarma for people growing up in Dubai will always mean something more. That's comfort food. The same way for a falafel or, a shawarma sandwich or a mandi. These all fall under the category of, comfort street food because there's something that everybody relate to. They're built for the masses, to the masses, for everyone. And that's that we're doing over here as well. So we're focusing on Southeast Asian comfort street food.
Okay, so could you make a little bit deep dive in numbers of GLT branch, if it's not secret for sure? So what's the square meters? How much invested?
So we have 2,800 square feet, within which we're running 3 different restaurants. I wouldn't say kitchens because we're actually operating as 3 different restaurants. We have different staff for everything. We're running different P&Ls for everyone. So I would consider it more of an incubator to see and create brands. So, I mean, we're lucky because we've had success with all 3 brands that we've had over here. But the reason why we kept it this way is should one brand not work, we could replace it to another brand.
Yeah, okay.
So, we kind of worked it like a dark kitchen format, but for dining in. And so we seat about 108 people over here. We have seating inside and outside by the lake. On the weekends, we do up to 450 people, 450 covers and numbers. So we get quite busy over here. We're also doing delivery. I do think we should be one of the leaders in delivery for this part of the market, for this segment, which is Southeast Asian food. We're very torn between the split. Because we built Streetery as a dine-in model for a dining experience of Asian street food. And even when you see the restaurant and see the way it's been built around the whole street concept. We have plastic stools. We have, multiple other formats that there are. Zen is still our top performer over here because Zen has been in the market for quite some time and we have a lot of visibility since then. And we do have a lot of set customers that we've always been catering to for over a decade and a half, So when we opened up over here, the first thing we had to do was just send an SMS out to our entire database. And, with God's grace, we were doing okay from day one. Okay,
good. So, but in general, so is this business, is a return on investments, is already returned investments, I mean, so how much? No?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's going to take 3 to 4 years before we have a return. I think that's the case with most things, because for the first year as well, there's a lot of additional expenses that come in that you don't think about. For example, over here, at that time, DMCC was supposed to not charge 3,000 dirhams deposit for every staff that there was. We had 40 staff over here, so we ended up paying 120,000 dirhams in deposits alone, which was something we did not account for. ACs is another issue that we've been having since the beginning. So we've had to keep working on our AC systems. We spent over 150 to 200,000 dirham over and above initial setup. Our exhaust as well is something we've changed the ecology units. So there's multiple things that come into picture as in how you start operating. So what we actually doubled our estimated capex in the first year itself. And it's been only a year since we've been operational over here, so it is going to take some time before we see return on that. But until the COVID situation happened, we were quite positive about
future.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's just about adapting ourselves, because we as a human race, we're very resilient to change. We're good at these things. We adapt quickly. We make changes. Yes, it's a struggle to get to where it is, but then you have a choice. Either you complain about it, you keep whining about it, or you start making the changes over there is. So I'm working very closely with my investors. I'm working very closely with the people that I work with to make sure that we can make this adaptable to today's format of business of what it is. So we are continuing to do that till today.
Okay, so by the way, I think you have a very great experience in passing over the crisis. You told that you lost once upon a time in the war, all you have, and then it was crisis of 2008. So what's your, maybe you it's really very great experience. So how to pass over these times, from mental side, from moral side, from your experience, because you was in the situation when you lose a lot of money. So how to alive, physically, psychologically?
This is where you have realists and you have optimists. And then you have stupid people. So I don't know whether I follow the optimist form or whether I follow the stupid people format. Because I'm not a realist. I don't look at things for what they are. I look at things for what I think I can build them to be. But then again, that comes on something that I believe in myself and creating something that people resonate with. Create a format to create an experience that people enjoy. Yes, I've had bad luck initially with all of this, but it's out of everything negative, something positive has happened that has got me to where I am today. My partner and my investor who I have in this business right now is my client from Business Bay. He has been pushing me for years to work with him, and we have, and it's been a great experience to do that. So everything that I've gotten so far is from my past experience. I would say keep moving. You don't have to stop moving. If you believe that you have something, but then again, I also believe that you have to consider the experience point from your clients. Today, me saying that I can provide a good experience and not having that backed up by my clients would be very foolish of me. I keep regular tabs with my customers on a daily basis. I'm the one who's contacting them on Instagram. I'm the one who's communicating with them on the telephone sometimes. There's a lot that I do from my side to make sure that my clients are happy. Because, one of the biggest things that people don't understand is that we are in the service industry. Service industry is all about making sure that your customer is happy. If you're able to resonate with your customer and you're able to make your customer happy, your customer will follow you no matter where you go. No matter whether you keep discounts or whether you don't keep discounts, as long as you realize and you make them feel like they are part of what it is, they will always stick by you. And, having opened in 2005, I still have customers from that time.
Okay, so let's summarize. To pass through the crisis, need to focus more on to be, or how it can be, than on how it's right now. Sure. Yes, so it's first idea, I like it, by the way, very much. And second is to touch customers directly. So you are doing calls, messages, so you are personally in touch with them to understand their mood and their happiness from your business.
Correct.
Yeah, this is really excellent, because yes, sometimes when we are growing, sometimes we are stopping to talk to customers, and then after that,
it is all about them, right, Leo? You don't matter. What your idea doesn't matter. It matters if people are willing to spend money in your business, and that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. If you simplify it.
Okay, cool. So it was some case from your side regarding 30% of direct ordering. So could you tell it like in some more
Okay, so
details?
I'll give you a basic brief of what had happened. So when
Mhm,
Zomato started in Dubai initially, we were working with Zomato very hard, and you know, I I kind of saw them as a Yelp. At that time, it was a new model, so nobody realized that they're going to adapt themselves into aggregators. At that time, they were
mhm,
service providers. They
mhm,
were for the people, by the people. Kind of website where you can go and have an unbiased experience or an unbiased look at a restaurant's operations from the look from the eyes of the customer. So initially, because again, like I said, I believe that we've always been serving a good experience, and it is what it is. We've had a very high rating on Zomato. So there was upon a time when we were 4.8 or 4.9, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This is in 2012, 13, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So at that
mhm,
time, because we were high rated over there, so we were getting a lot of attention from everywhere, and Zomato was a new big thing where, everybody's talking about, online portals, check out these restaurants. At that time, delivery, again, was not a very big thing. Delivery was happening, but online delivery was not even existing at that point of time.
mhm,
So that's where Zomato sort of migrated into the online portal where they got into the space, and I think they were the first. No, 24H was the first one that started with online delivery. After them, you had Zomato that followed, and then there was Talabat for the Arab nationals, because Talabat focused on. They were the first people that brought in Arabic into their portal,
mhm,
which is why anybody serving Arab customers or Arab nationals, that was the place they would normally go to. So we started working with them initially, and it was beautiful till it lasted. I was so happy with them. I cannot tell you. I loved working with Zomato. I was in touch with the CEO Dipinder directly. We'd have regular communication.
mhm,
Team on the ground was phenomenal. They were always up to like pushing and making sure the restaurants are the restaurants that are performing well are pushing their experience on people and making sure that people have a good experience. So it was great until I think a year after they started deliveries. So
mhm,
in Business Bay, I'll give you a small example. In Business Bay, when you have when you search for restaurants on delivery, my restaurant would be the first one that would show up.
mhm,
Number one, because of the fact that we're one of the highest rated restaurants over there within the segment. And another reason was that because people were always giving us good ratings on the delivery experience.
mhm,
So at that time, they were pushing restaurants for the experience as opposed to who's offering discounts and
mhm,
who's spending money on advertising and who's spending on that. That model worked for us.
mhm,
Then they started pushing on the discount and advertising part, because as it merges, as it evolves, this is what they had started focusing their efforts on. Because obviously, I mean, as a business, I would do the same thing. If I see revenue coming from one format, I will push on that side.
mhm,
Anybody was there that would want to push the sales, if I tell them, okay, you place an ad with me, and we will make sure you're the top 5, or you you give a 20% discount, and you will be the first restaurant that will show up in the list. I would do the same thing. So initially, we started this with a 10% discount, and we kept a 15% discount for every new person that was coming in. I ran this model for about 6 months until I got to a point where I did my P&L and realized the kind of losses that I was actually having. Even though I was having a higher number of orders coming in, at the end of the year, the profit I was making was half of what I would normally do.
mhm,
At that time, Zomato was charging us a very nominal commission. They were charging, I think, 5%, if I'm not mistaken.
mhm,
Very reasonable. It was great. And that model worked with us, But even then, after accounting for the discounts and everything else that there is, sorry, give me a second. After accounting for the discounts and all that there was really not much left in the pot, because one of the mistakes that I made is because we did not have our own online portal at that time, I started pushing all my customers to order directly from Zomato for a better experience of delivery rather than order me on the phone.
mhm,
Now, when 60-70% of my business started coming in from Zomato, I was completely at their mercy.
mhm,
Over time, I had to start advertising with them to make sure that my restaurant was on the top of the list. till it got to a point where everybody started following the same format. And when everyone started following the same format, to stay on the top of the list started becoming very difficult, because the preference for restaurants that were offering larger discounts, the preference was given to restaurants that were advertising with higher budgets. So it started moving me down to the second page, the third page, the fifth page, and I started seeing the losses that I had. Now, because I had migrated majority of my customers to the Zomato platform, I got to a point where, everybody was ordering from them directly. And, I had realized that I'd shot myself in the foot, and, I had sent my customers to other people. This is where I decided, this was in 2015 or 2014, 2016, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That's when I said, enough is enough. And I tied up with Sapad, which was my POS provider at that time. I started getting my database back to myself, and I started using my database for my benefit. I started communicating directly with the customers. I would call them. I would visit people's houses with deliveries myself, and do a little bit of face-to-face PR, and tell them, we'd love to do something more with you. We'd love to offer you. Then we started our customer loyalty program. So we told customers, we stopped discounts entirely on Zomato. We stopped advertising with them completely. And, we told our customers that, we'll give you 10% cash back, or we'll give you 10% loyalty, or if you order directly through our portals. But before that, I made it a point that I had my online portal sorted out. I had my own delivery platform. I believe Zen and Streetery have become a brand that everybody is quite synonymous with right now, and everybody is quite aware of. So, one of my biggest targets was to continue making sure that when people are they're ordering with us, they come to our portal only. I don't like the option of people going to other portals where you see 20 other restaurants, and, even though you're not being charged by them, or even if they're offering you something for free, the fact that you can see something else and your website doesn't show up over there, which is zendubai.com or streetrefoodhall.com or anything for KFC, bkfc.com, it kind of, you're taking the customer experience away from letting them have an experience from you itself. And this is what it should be. I'm talking to a lot of people right now, and people are very frustrated with this, with the whole thing that they've also made the same mistakes that I had. The advantage is that I started working on these issues before, and I realized how much of an effect it was having with us in a negative sense before anything else that was there, So we were able to adapt quickly and make the changes for what it was, This is what people, I believe, at this point of time during COVID-19, people are having the same issue right now, because everybody's competing with everyone. And the only way to compete and stand out is by offering a larger discount. Yes, stand out. And, that is not the way to go. I believe you price yourself well, be nominal, do your research well, make sure you're not more expensive than other restaurants, make sure your food is good, make sure you're focusing on the core essentials of running your restaurant. The core essential of running your restaurant is to make sure that the customers have a good experience, that the customers are enjoying the food. Take the suggestions, take the recommendations, adapt with that, keep moving, keep working on development. Don't stop that at all, And if you continue doing these things, of course, your customers will be with you. Customers, I believe, again, are very finicky. If I order from Zomato myself, and, I'm a culprit over here, because there are lots of times when I'll go into Zomato and I'll see a restaurant that I'm familiar with. And, if I go to their own website or order with them directly, there's no discount or anything else. But if I go on Zomato, there are 50% discount or 30% discount. Why would I order with them directly? Is my question. When I'm saving money and ordering the same produce from them and the same product from them, why would I think about going to their own platform? You have to give them an opportunity. This is where I believe your product is very important. Because say, for example, there's a set brand. And if they had the same prices on Zomato and directly, I would be inclined to order with them directly. I live in the Trade Center area, and there is this Italian restaurant in World Trade Center. It's called Capri. Capri doesn't always have discounts, but so on Fridays when I'm too tired, or we've taken care of the kids and we're sitting down, we don't want to cook at home. whole thing about ordering in, and the quickest thing would be to order Capri. I would rather order with them directly. It's one pizza, it's one whatever else, and you just order with them directly. But that's because they're not offering a discount on other platforms as opposed to their own platform. It's a fair playing field where they're equal on both places, So if everybody adapts that same model, I believe this is how we as restaurateurs can go ahead. Don't give anybody an opportunity to go to another platform to order from you.
Oh, and main secret sauce from you here is just to talk to your customers, as I understood.
I think there's several ways to talk to your customer. Your food can talk to customers. You can do a lot that can do that. I mean, earning loyalty is not just it's not just about being a sales call. You can have a horrible product and be a great salesperson, and the customer will order something for you for first time, but then that doesn't mean they're going to repeat themselves again.
Yeah.
In JLT, when I consider my competition is not my neighbors next door. We have great operators operating next door. We have Vietnamese foodies. We have Chibo. We have Betawi. And these are restaurants that I visit myself, and they're all very good at what they do. I will never consider that in competition. My competition is a delivery service that is offering a better delivery experience than I am.
Yeah, okay, so my main point here is delivery experience. Yeah. Cool. So thank you very much for your speech. Really, it was very nice to meet you in more details. So what do you think about all this situation, and what's your prediction about the future for restaurateurs?
I wish I could predict, but I'm not that knowledgeable to be able to predict. I do believe that we as people, we're very strong and we're very resilient. And no matter what has happened in the world, people have adapted. So if this is what it's going to be for the next 6 months, for the next 1 year, I believe everybody will find a way to adapt. Unfortunately, I know that a lot of people do not have the option of being able to adapt. Some people are stuck. This is very sad for the industry because as difficult as it may be, I believe we're going to lose a lot of good operators by the time we come out of the situation. And, I wish everybody the best, really. We should all try to coexist as much as we can. And this is what I love about, the restaurant community that we've set up. Just being a part of this, I've reduced my gas cost by 30% in the last 1 week, after communicating with people and telling, knowing that they're being charged less for it. The same way, coming together, relying on each other, taking each other for support is something that we really need to do. We underestimate the kind of, the help we can get from people, and we should not at all be shy of taking any help in any way.
Yeah.
And
so do you
as an operator are able to offer any insight that could help a fellow person within your field, do that. Do your level best. Support the industry. Our industry is very important, and we will make it through this. I believe that. Yeah. Continue, doing what you are, and just let's stick together and get this happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you mean we must adapt? So there is no way just to wait until situation will become normal.
At this point in time, I've been talking to a lot of people within the field, and no matter how knowledgeable the person is, nobody has any idea what to expect.
Okay. Yeah.
Harvard Business School may do a study that might tell you the effects for the next 2 years, but there's no actual evidence. This is a first-time experience for everyone. The world hasn't been through something like this before in the last 100 years or so. I think, you cannot even compare it to places like Hong Kong or Africa where you had SARS and Ebola. But having said that, if you see the closest thing that there is when it is SARS, which affected the whole of the Far East, people came out of that and people continue. And yes, while some people did have to close their doors and some people did struggle, majority of the people made it through it. And I believe that's the closest relative example you can have to what we are currently facing right now.
Okay, so and the last question. You joined the restaurant community and helped us a lot with some conferences. So, what personal value did you get from the community? So, what do you think about all that?
I love the fact that everyone's come together. And that's one of the biggest things in emergencies. When you have global emergencies like this, people huddle together and people become stronger together. And one small thing, like the article we had in the national newspaper today, we wouldn't have done this if we were not together. If I went to them and I told them myself, this is what I want to talk about, and this is what I believe we need to, these are the struggles that we're having as a business, and this is the help we need to get for us to be noticed and for us to be heard, I doubt it would make any difference at all. The fact that we want to come together, we're talking about landlords, we're talking about, government incentive schemes, we're talking about rents, but now the conversations are going on about, the positive things that are happening within the industry. It gives you a benchmark of what to expect from everybody else. It gives you a benchmark of what to follow, what to try to work towards. The drive that's been set by DIFC, where they've said April to June, your rents are free. Even, this gives us a reference to use in our negotiations with our own landlords. It gives us some form of reference that we can align within our own expectations.
So you mean the main point here is benchmark, that we can use particular useful things and scale it for other people in community.
Exactly.
Yes, agree. Thank you. Yes, it's very great thought. Okay, Nicky, thank you very much. This was Nicky from Streetery in JLT. I hope everything will be fine, and maybe not ASAP, but once upon a time, everything.
We'll make it through it.
Yeah.
As long as we stick together, we will make it through it.
Yeah, okay. Yes, let's stick together. Thank you very much. See you. It was quite useful conversation. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video up to the end. I suppose it was quite useful. I got a lot of things. First of all, Nicky has a very great experience in passing through crises. So he did it at least twice as per conversation. So if you will feel that you have questions, you can message him directly. I think he will give you some advices. Second point is about customers. I think it's very great advice to talk to customers and try to create the same delivery experience that they can have through other platforms. And I think really that's quite important today. And the third point, which I got from him, is about the community. So that the main value is to catch benchmarks, catch different successful cases, and spread it, roll out it inside the community to others. So this will help us to move faster in resolving of our main issues and so on. So thank you very much once again for watching. Please give feedback about this video. Do we need to continue? And if you would like to be in next interview, please let me know. We will schedule a time. Thank you very much. See you in next videos.